Hey guys, I wish that I could find a new nice intro sentence for this one, but basically all I can say is it's time for another Top 5 Wednesday. This week's topic is basically my topic. It is the top 5 books that made you cry. And by now you probably know that I am a crybaby. But it was kind of hard for me to choose a top 5 because I remember quite a few books where I cried, but I couldn't even remember why I cried. Yeah, so I think like probably 50% of the books I read are books where I cry. So, but let's get right into it. I won't really say too much because I don't really want to spoil you, but here we go. Number 5 is Me Before You by Jojo Moyes, I don't know. And this is about a woman who loses her job and then tries to find a new one, and she basically ends up being the assistant of a guy in a wheelchair who can't move his legs anymore at all. And that already says enough about the story, and it's a book about the sad moments, but it's also a book about the happy moments. So it's both of these things. So you might cry because you're happy, but you also cry because you're sad. But it's beautiful. It is really, really beautiful. Number 4 is The Book Thief by Markus Zusak. And I guess that you probably all heard about this book. I don't really want to say a lot about this book. If you have read it, you know totally what I'm talking about when I say that. I just wanted to quit life when I read this book. It's just so beautiful, and I think that in the end it probably made me cry a lot more just because some parts were so insanely beautiful. Yeah, I mean, of course it is sad. It is a book about Second World War, but for me this book is so special because it's just a beautiful story about friendship. Okay, so the last 3 books are all cliche books, but yeah, when it comes to crying and stuff, I am indeed very cliche, so my number 3 is The Fault in Our Stars by John Green. Same with The Book Thief. You probably heard about this book before. I remember bawling out my eyes, so. Number 2 is Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. I did cry in The Order of the Phoenix, and I also cried in The Half-Blood Prince, but this was a mental breakdown. Okay, I need to talk about this. I need to talk about this because we don't really talk too much about Harry Potter on this channel, and I think that out of all the people that watch this video, there is probably 1 or 2 people who have not read this book yet. So if you haven't read this book yet, mute the channel until I do not hold the book anymore, okay? Goodbye. Okay, I wanted to do this because I want to talk about a really specific point in this book where I just couldn't do it anymore. I cried like a baby at The Prince's Tale. I already thought that the death of Snape was just really sad and beautiful, and I really liked Snape at that point and just trusted him, and I thought he knew what he is doing. Let's not discuss about the things he did to Harry. I know he is a jerk, but that doesn't change that I really like him as a character, and that his chapter and his whole story just made me cry. I know that I had to set the book down at some point because I couldn't take it anymore. I still cry while reading this whole chapter. I do reread it from time to time because it's one of my favorite book chapters ever. That part got me. And welcome back to everyone who hasn't read Harry Potter yet. Okay, so I know that I'm going to be really boring this time around, and I feel really pathetic because you might already guess that my number 1 this time is going to be the same number 1 as it has been basically the last few Top 5 Wednesdays. I'm really sorry, but this is just the most accurate thing. There is not one book that comes even close to this trilogy when it comes to crying. Of course, the number 1 books that make me cry the most are The Hunger Games. This is just the whole trilogy was just emotional roller coaster for me. And there were parts where I cried because it was so beautiful. There are parts where I cried because I was angry. There were parts where I cried because I was sad. But this book is written so well and I love it so much that every emotion made me cry. I was basically lying in bed for 3 days and just screamed. I remember screaming, lying in bed screaming because I was upset, and I was so glad that my parents weren't home at the time. Yeah, as I said, it was an emotional roller coaster, but I love the books for all of this. These were the top 5 books that made me cry. Once again, I would love to know what your number 1 book is that made you cry, and I guess I'll see you soon. Bye!